Listen. Do you hear that beat? That is the sound of the human heart. Every time it beats, the heart causes the stream of life, the blood, to course around the body, giving nourishment to all the billions of cells. You notice that the beat is steady? What would happen if it quit? If only for a few moments. You know that death would be only minutes away, unless you got medical assistance immediately, and even then you might die. What a vital role the heart plays in keeping us alive. But is that the only function of the heart, to pump our blood around the body? We remember earlier this year in our study of the Watchtower, we learned that the heart is an entirely distinct faculty from the mind, and that the heart is not something, figuratively, that centers in the brain. No. When the heart is referred to in the Scriptures, it refers to the literal heart, the one in our chest that contains the major factors of motivation. It is not just a fleshly pump for the blood, although it is indeed marvelously designed for this purpose. But more importantly, it is here in the heart that our affections and our most important desires originate. It is a powerhouse of motivation. In contrast, the mind, which resides in the brain, is a gathering center and storehouse of knowledge. Here is where we relate things together and draw rational conclusions. The mind and the heart are, of course, closely interconnected by a nervous system. The mind feeds the heart with conclusions and in effect makes recommendations based upon the information it gathers, just as the heart has a strong influence in reverse flow on the mind. When they're working in unison, there is a singleness of purpose. The mind, of course, is not always right. We can be misinformed. We can have false teachings in our minds, or can be simply ignorant of certain things. If our heart has been trained properly, we will respond when the truth is presented to us. We will let it correct our minds. But often when there is a conflict, it is because it's the heart is set on a wrong course. The heart can, and often does, win out over the logic of the mind. Indeed, the heart, having the capacity of motivation, can overwhelm the mind, despite the mind's recommendations based on knowledge and logic, and can motivate the mind to think up ways to justify the wrongdoing that the heart wishes to do. The mind can be made by the heart to go along with it in planning and working out what is bad. We have to face it, brothers. It is just as Jehovah said frankly about the human heart at Jeremiah 17 and verse 9. The heart is more treacherous than anything else and is desperate. This verse just continues. Who can know it? We must confess, if we are honest with ourselves, that we cannot fully understand it. How often sudden and powerful desires and affections are awakened therein, and we are ashamed, even appalled at the things that begin to spring from the deep recesses of our hearts. How determined it is in wanting things. It gets desperate, even leads us into scheming, lying, and injuring others at times in trying to get what it wants. As Jesus said, from inside, out of the heart of men, injurious reasonings issue forth, fornications, thieveries, murders, and so on. However, because the heart is where our deepest devotion center, it is from here that we also can have the motivation to love and worship God. Compassion, a sense of justice, love of our fellow man, all spring from the heart. If the heart is trained properly, we truly love God and his commandments. God's laws are written upon the fleshy tablets of the heart. While as Romans 2 verses 14 and 15 says, all persons have these laws written on their hearts to some degree. This is not enough to ensure a righteous course, however. We must deeply impress those laws on our hearts. God's law, fallen man's natural inclination of heart from his youth up is to do what is bad. Earnest effort must be put forth to counteract that inclination. How important, then, not to be content just to take in knowledge of the Bible and store this in the mind. We need to make our hearts receptive to that knowledge, so that the heart is trained and is strengthened in righteousness. It does no good just to know what is in the heart if we do not have the love to do what is right, and the motive to do it that way. So when we read the Bible or other publications, we should endeavor to build heart appreciation for the truths we are learning, finding pleasure in them, not being content merely to take in information, accurate though it may be. The Bible tells us, when wisdom enters into your heart, and knowledge itself becomes pleasant to your very soul, thinking ability itself will keep guard over you. Discernment itself will safeguard you to deliver you from the bad way. Now, the question before us is this: how are we going to control this central faculty of ours? Yes, the heart, seeing that it is the prime source of motivation, and that it is from there that our affections and our most important desires issue forth. Understanding how the heart and the mind function and cooperate under certain typical circumstances should be of help to us. So tonight we're going to listen in on the heart. We're going to have it talk so we can hear it, and also the mind. You know, you cannot always tell what's going on inside a person's heart or his mind, can you? And people often don't speak with their lips words entirely. People often speak with their lips words entirely different from what they are really thinking. But in the scenes you will see on the platform at times, we will just stop the action and monitor what is going on in the heart and the mind. You'll observe this as the heart and the mind light up. The others on the platform will not hear what the heart or the mind speak, but you will. Then the action will start again, and you'll hear what the mouth speaks. Of course, we realize that the mind and the heart are never completely independent. So it's not as if we have two separate persons inside us. But in the dialogues that we're going to present between the mind and the heart, we will focus on the dominant qualities of each. The first voice that you will hear is the brother who will guide us as we observe these scenes.
Now, to help us appreciate how the heart and mind are involved in deciding matters, let's begin by looking in on 3 quick scenes. First, here is Sister Radiant. She has to hobble along now because of arthritis and other physical infirmities. But let me tell you something about her. Perhaps you have someone in your congregation just like her. She is always at the meetings. If she isn't, you know that she is just so sick that she cannot go. But here, let's listen in on the conversation she's having with her congregation servant.
My, that was a fine meeting tonight. Jehovah is surely good to us in providing just what we need. You know, I wouldn't miss the meetings for anything in the world.
And you know by what she does every day that she really means it from her heart. But let's hear it from her heart.
It makes me feel so good inside to be here at the Kingdom Hall. I just don't know what I would do if I couldn't come. The happiness of the brothers, the things we learn at the meetings, just fill me with excitement and make me overflow with joy. Oh, I feel so much better just being here among my brothers and sisters.
Yes, Sister Radiant, we can see that you thoroughly enjoy the meetings and being here with your brothers and sisters. You are certainly a fine example for the rest of us.
Obviously, this sister has her heart set on the right things. Over the years, she has built up deep appreciation for Jehovah's provisions. And this is evident, not only by what she says, but by what she does. In our second scene, we see a brother who has just arrived home after working all day. Tonight is the ministry school and service meeting. Wonder what's going through his mind. But first, what is going on in his heart?
Am I tired?
Feels so good just to sit down and relax.
His mind has something to say, too.
Just want to remind you, tonight's meeting night. Don't forget.
Oh, that's right. But I don't know whether I'm up to going. I'll just sit here for a few minutes and rest.
But we can't get too comfortable sitting here. Last week we dropped off to sleep, and you know what happened. We didn't get to the meeting.
Yes, I know, but I'm so tired. Sitting here feels so good.
We'll sit here for a moment, but we just have to collect ourselves and get to the meeting because I'm getting spiritually dry up here, loaded up with all that worldly conversation and work.
I know. Guess it's true that meetings always refresh me, but, well, all I want to do now is just rest. So just be still, will you mind? Let me rest a little.
Well, now, what is going to be the outcome here? Is he going to get to the meeting, or is he not? Where is the heart? Remember, Jesus said, where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. If his heart is not really on getting to the meeting, then the chances of his getting to the meeting tonight are very slim. Let's see what does actually take place.
Really, I'm feeling more tired all the time. If I do go to the meeting tonight, I'll just fall off to sleep. It's better that I stay home.
Not really. You remember...
Quiet, please. Be cooperative. See it my way. You know you can think up some good reasons for staying home now.
Well, I suppose I can. It's true we've been working hard all week. And, too, I'm not functioning too well either. Can't think very well when I'm tired. I guess taking one night off isn't going to hurt. It isn't as if we've missed meetings every week. The rest will do us good. And besides, we'll be ready for a big day of service tomorrow.
How subtle the heart can be. It can truly change one's thinking. This brother's heart convinced him to stay at home when he really could have gone to the meetings. But over here is another brother. Where is he? He's flat on his back in bed. It looks as if he's sick. Let's listen as he talks to his wife.
Oh, my. I sure wish I could get to the meeting tonight.
Is that really the way he feels at heart? Or is that just what he feels he should say? Let's see what is going on in his heart.
This flu has knocked me out. And I was really set on going to the meetings, too. Let's see if I can make it. Oh, nope. I just have to face it. I'm too weak to walk. But I was looking forward to getting to the meetings tonight and getting built up spiritually. I just don't feel right staying home. Well, I'll just have to be content with having my wife tell me some of the highlights of what went on at the meetings.
Now, where is this brother's heart? He had to stay home physically, but in spirit he was at the meetings. There's where his heart was. Again, where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. But what happens if we are put under great pressure to do something bad in order to keep the favor of our associates or to avoid harm? This can happen to any one of us. But the situation we want to look in on now has to do with the pressures in school on our young folks. They have to cope with the influence of immorality, smoking, drugs, the flag salute, and so on. Take, for example, Timothy here in this scene.
Hey, fellas, did you see the way he handled that ball?
Great. Hit it. What a run. He had the wind with him. 48 yards to the goal. Man, that was some game.
Hey, gang, let's celebrate.
That's a good
Hey,
idea.
Tom, where did you get those cigarettes?
Oh, I use them once in a while.
All
And
right.
have one on me. Can't think of a better way to celebrate the game.
Got the idea.
What if Miss Henderson catches us? She'll report us.
Good grief. What are you, some kind of chicken? We're old enough. Let her catch us. So what? I mean, everybody's smoking.
That's right.
Look at Kozlowski, the halfback.
Look at Kozlowski.
The one who made that run. He smokes. And if he can run like that, it's for me. Here, have one on me.
Yeah, sure. Come on.
I'll take one, too.
Hey, take it easy, fellas. I don't have too many of them. Here, Tim, here's one for you.
No thanks, Tom. I don't smoke. You know that.
Sure, I know that, Tim. But give it a try. Here, take one.
Yeah, come on.
Go ahead, come on.
What will Timothy do? It depends upon what is in his heart. How will his heart motivate him? How has he been trained by his parents? Here he's under a lot of pressure. This situation developed almost before he knew it. A decision has to be reached quickly. What will he do? His heart is momentarily divided. If he refuses, he knows the other worldly boys will chide and ridicule him. To be accepted as one of the group is a strong desire, and no one likes to be ridiculed. Let's see what's going on in Timothy's heart about now.
I don't really want to smoke, but if I refuse, I know they're going to make it tough for me. Chicken, softy, squarehead. I get so tired of hearing them call me names. I just want them to leave me alone and not make me feel that I'm so different. Maybe if I take just one puff, that won't be too bad. Maybe that will satisfy them and get the heat off.
Timothy's mind has something to say at this point.
Remember what Mom and Dad said. And besides, remember, these are worldly boys. So what if you lose them as friends?
Yes, I know. But you've got to have some pals in school, or there's no fun. And you have to keep on their good side, or they're always picking on you. Oh, but I can't do this. Mom and Dad may not see me take a puff, but Jehovah will see me, and I do want to be pleasing to him.
Now you're making sense, Hart. Besides, they know you're one of Jehovah's Witnesses. And what would they think? That all the witnesses smoke? That would be bringing shame on Jehovah and his people. We're supposed to stand up for what is right, regardless of the consequences.
Yes, you're right.
No thanks, fellas. No is no.
Now Timothy meditates. Let's listen to his heart as he walks back to school and to his classes.
Man, that was a rough thing to do. Well, I guess I lost them as friends, but I just couldn't do it. Just a couple of puffs. A little thing, yes. But that would be giving in. No. I want to please Jehovah. I shouldn't be so close to those guys anyway. They just get me into trouble.
While Timothy's heart was momentarily divided, the good motives outweighed those bad ones that suddenly sprang up. His heart had been reached with good instruction before this. His parents had seen to it that he understood the reasons for doing the right thing, and that those reasons had been impressed on the heart, not just the mind. When the test was on, he had love for Jehovah deep down in his heart. Parents, are you reaching your children's hearts? Are you regularly conducting your family study? And yes, every day staying alert for opportune occasions to teach them right principles and build right motives, desires, and affections in their hearts. Now, do you see this man sitting at his desk? His name is Bill. Let me tell you something about his private life. You see, before Bill learned the truth a couple of years ago, he was one who led a life far from Christian. He came from a very permissive home environment that encouraged immoral conduct. There was a practicing of many things that Jehovah condemns. But now he is a dedicated, zealous brother. He is now striving to serve Jehovah with a pure heart. The setting is the office where Bill works. A secretary in the office opens the conversation.
Well, Bill, are you working through the lunch hour again?
Oh, hello, Laura. No, I'm just taking advantage of the quiet to catch up on some reading I wanted to do.
You're an unusual person. I admire the man that reads and wants to improve his mind. But why not take a break and walk me over to the coffee shop? We're the only ones in the office that haven't gone to lunch, you know.
Well,
What's going on in Bill's heart about this time?
My, she sure is attractive. And my eyes just seem to drop down automatically. She sure wears a short skirt. And she reminds me of Susan. I'm getting a sensation just like I did when I first met Susan, the year before I learned the truth. Boy, was she a swinger. But wait a minute. I have to get a hold of myself. I can't go back to those old ways. I can't even begin to let something start with this girl or I'm in deep trouble. Got to nip desire in the bud before it becomes fertile.
Well, I really do have quite a bit of reading to do, Laura.
I'm sure, Bill. I know how busy you are. Perhaps another time. See you later.
The heart of Bill was strong enough at this time to resist the temptation. Can he now relax his guard, seeing that she's right there in the office? Let's watch what happens just 3 days later.
Is tonight the night, Laura?
Yes.
I don't think you'll have any trouble the way you're dressed today.
I hope not.
Okay, then. I'll go on home alone, and tomorrow you can tell me how you made out.
All right, bye. Oh, Bill, I'm so glad I caught you before you left.
What's the problem, Laura?
Well, Connie, the girl I usually ride home with from work just called and said that she won't be going straight home tonight. So I don't know how I'm going to get home. And, Bill, you know how dangerous the streets are getting these days. So I was wondering if I could ride home with you. I'm right on your way home, and I would sure appreciate it if you would drop me off.
Will Bill really keep his guard up now as he did a few days ago? Let's listen to his heart again. Listen. Do you hear the struggle that is going on?
Guess there's nothing wrong with giving the girl a lift home.
But remember all that we've learned from God's Word? We've been working hard to control wrong desire these past 2 years. Don't forget, it was our resolve that when faced with temptation, we would silently pray to Jehovah for strength to resist temptation.
Yes, that's right. But you have to admit she's in sort of a spot. I don't deny she looks very attractive. But it is an emergency. What would she think of the witnesses if I am not even willing to show common courtesy?
Well, that's something to think about. I really don't know just what to say on that. I don't know just how you'd balance out the Bible principles there. I suppose if you were extra careful, it might...
Yes, the struggle is there, isn't it? But remember, the heart is not always the villain and the mind the source coming to the rescue. The heart may actually be wrestling with itself. The bad impulses that are holdovers from the past want to crowd out the good impulses being cultivated. For a time, the old impulses may dominate. But when the good ones rise to the surface, what a warm, clean feeling it brings. Yes, if the love for Jehovah and the hatred of bad are deep enough, then the heart will again swing over to motivating in the right way.
On the one hand, I want to go along with this pull and tug of my flesh, but I just can't do it. I won't let myself. My greatest delight now, I know from experience, is serving Jehovah and doing His will. I don't even want to take the first step toward getting back into that filth.
Say, Hart, I think I've come up with a solution. Listen.
Well, yes, Laura, it is dangerous to travel alone these days. But I was just thinking of Mrs. Ferguson. Oh, you know her. She works in the office just down the hall. Well, she lives right by you, and I'm sure that she could give you a ride if you ask her. In fact, if you like, I'll give her a call and explain the problem.
No, that's all right, Bill. I do know her. I can ask her myself.
Yes, how wise to follow the course of Joseph and flee from any situation that could lead to immorality and God's disfavor. But now, as to just how serious it is to avoid taking even small steps toward a course of immorality, let's look in on a portrayal of an actual case. The names have been changed, but what you are about to witness is an actual situation that happened. Here's Harold. He's been a dedicated brother for a few years now. He's applied himself in Jehovah's organization and is now a servant in the congregation. Has he been building up deep heart appreciation for what is right? Up to now, he has been successful since learning the truth, and has been making straight paths for his feet. Let us watch at his place of employment as Harold's employer approaches Harold and another employee.
Well, boys, do I have good news for you. I just figured up the sales data for the last 6 months, and you two are the top men in sales.
Well, we appreciate
Glad
hearing
you're happy,
this.
Mr. Johnson.
Which brings to mind something else I wanted to talk to both of you about. You know, we sent 2 delegates to the National Sales Convention, and since you two are such good salesmen, I have selected you to go. All expenses paid. You'll have a great time.
Before we listen to what Harold has to say about this proposal, let's listen to how his heart reacts to it. Remember, it's from the heart that we can expect an emotional response.
Well, that is something, being one of the top salesmen, and to be invited to the sales convention. My, that's quite an honor. Of course, to go I'll have to miss some of the meetings, and those conventions can be a little wild, but I'm sure I can take care of myself there.
Do you see what has happened? His heart has been flattered. He wants to go. He wants so much to go that he is confident he can take care of himself there, even though he's going to be with worldly people and away from his wife, his family, and the congregation.
Well, being a family man, it won't be easy to get away.
Oh, come on, Harold. You can go.
But I think I can make it, Mr. Johnson.
Fine, men. Why don't both of you come into my office and I'll give you the details. You'll get to stay in the best hotel and wait till you see the agenda.
Should Harold have accepted this invitation to go to the sales convention? Well, this is a decision that he must make. No one should be critical of him if he goes. But what is the motive? Is he going because he's been honored as one of the top salesmen? Or is it simply that it's part of his job to go? Does he deep down in his heart want to go because he can get away from certain restraints, seeing that the convention will be out of town? Has his heart deceived him into thinking he can really take care of himself under such circumstances? Well, Harold did actually go. And here we see him at the end of the day after a sales meeting.
Man, that was a long, boring session. Am I thirsty? Say, let's stop in here at the bar and get a drink before we go up.
Well, I don't...
Oh, come on, Harold. Why, for us, the drinks are on the house.
Out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth will speak. But what is the heart's abundance in this matter?
Go ahead, Harold. There's nothing unscriptural about having a drink. It's been a tiring day, and you are thirsty.
Yes, but you can get something to eat and drink at a more respectable place, and then go up to the room to get your rest for the night. You know what these bars are noted for. And you know Sam has a reputation for being interested in women.
Yes, I know. But I don't have to do what Sam does. I'm just going to look around and have a drink, and then up to bed.
Okay, Sam. I guess one nightcap won't do me any harm.
Sure, Harold. It'll relax you. Make you sleep better.
Do you see the potential danger that Harold's heart has blinded him to? Harold and Sam are now in the hotel cocktail lounge.
Really a nice place, right, Harold? I feel great. All I need right now is another drink. I guess I'll just go over to the bar. Can I get you another one, Harold?
Why, okay, Sam, I think I will.
Say, Harold, did you see those 2 girls that just walked in over there?
Over where?
That blonde girl and the girl in the red over there. The blonde's name is Shirley. I met her last night. Mind if I invite them over for a drink?
I don't know about that, Sam.
What's wrong? Afraid somebody's going to tell your wife or something?
No, it's up to you. Do what you want.
Really, Shirley's a nice girl. Very friendly. Oh, Shirley, over here. Come over here.
There is no need to portray the rest of what happened that night, but I'll tell you. Harold had a few more drinks, was enticed, lost his self-control, and the first thing he knew, he was in a hotel room where adultery was committed. While he was very remorseful, confessed to his wrongdoing, and was forgiven by his wife, still, look at the cost. Foremost, he damaged his relationship with Jehovah. But he also lost his position in the congregation and was placed on probation. Harold's heart was like a traitor, betraying him into a course of immorality. Where did Harold go wrong? Well, did he really have to go to that business convention in the first place? And if it was necessary because of his secular employment, did he have to go to that bar? Did he really have to associate so closely with Sam so as to allow bad association to spoil useful habits? Suppose Harold had had a strong love for Jehovah's principles, deep down in his heart. What course do you think Harold would have taken? First of all, likely it would have been advisable to reason with his employer and try to get excused from going to the sales convention, especially if this were away from home and would open him up to temptation. However, suppose it was felt advisable for him to attend the sales meeting. Let's play the scene over from this point and see how a good heart would motivate. Here we see Harold with Sam coming out of the sales meeting.
Man, that was a long, boring session. Am I thirsty? Say, let's stop in here at the bar and get a drink before we go up.
Well, I wonder what is going to be his answer. Let's see what's going on in his heart.
Come to think of it, I am thirsty. But no, I'd better just go to the hotel dining room, get something to eat there, and then up to bed. Besides, going into these bars, that's bad association. And knowing Sam, I know what he has in mind.
No thanks, Sam. I think I'll go to the dining room for a bite to eat, and then I'm going up to bed. I have some reading I want to do.
We remember that the scriptures tell us that the heart is desperate and has the capacity to move us into scheming and fabricating deceit and lies in order to get its way. Let us illustrate this by the following scene. Here is a teenage girl who has not been particularly disobedient in growing up, and, generally speaking, has had a theocratic outlook, until the time she became interested in a worldly boy in her class. The parents have been fairly conscientious in training her, but a flaw has developed. The reason for this is that they have not always reached her heart in giving instruction. There is indeed a difference between telling and teaching, between always demanding obedience and building up reasons for obedience from the heart. Will the parents recognize the problem and how seriously it involves the heart? Being conscientious, will they be able to cope with it before it is too late? The scene opens with Nancy's heart fabricating a scheme with which she hopes to win her parents' permission to go with this young man to a school dance the coming weekend. Let's secretly listen in on Nancy's heart.
If I wait any longer, it'll be too late to get permission. I know what I'll do. I'll put Mom on the defensive by making her think she's hurt my feelings. Then she'll say okay, so I won't be mad at her anymore.
Oh, Mother, I just don't see why you're always picking on me. You seem to feel that everything I do is wrong.
I'm sorry, Nancy. I didn't mean to upset you. Is it something I've said?
Oh, just leave me alone. I don't want to talk about it. Don't you understand?
Understand what? Now come, dear. You know your father and I have always been glad to help you with your problems. What's troubling you?
Is the plan working? Let's see how the heart views it.
That was easier than I expected. Mom's sure a pushover when I act up. Let's see. I'll try the You won't approve anyway line of argument on her.
I know you're not going to approve anyway. You just won't understand.
Now, come on, dear. Tell me what's bothering you. Maybe I can help.
Okay. It's about David. You know, that nice boy in my class at school. I told you about him a few weeks ago.
Say, that was pretty smart, telling Mom about some of his good qualities from time to time.
You mean the boy you said had been getting such fine grades and is one of the best students in school?
Yes. Oh, and Mother, he's very nice. In fact, he's asked me to go to the dance with him.
Of course you didn't accept.
Well, yes, I did.
My, what a thrill that was when he asked me. I knew he liked me a little, but I never thought he'd invite me to the dance.
I had no idea you were interested in him, Nancy. That just won't do. We'd better discuss the matter with your father. Jim, could you come in here, please?
Now, why did she have to bring him into it so soon? He's going to be a lot harder to handle than Mom.
I'll be right there. Say, what's going on? Why the sad looks?
Nancy's just told me she's accepted a date with David.
Is that the boy you talked about at supper last night? The one you said is at the head of the class?
I knew that telling Dad he was at the head of the class would impress him. Now, let's see if I can win him over.
Yes, Dad, he's the one. He's such a fine young man, so strong, courteous, and respectful. The boys in school are so bad and insulting, but I never have to worry when David's around, and he's such a gentleman, too.
He's a living doll. It's so nice just to be near him. The other girls are jealous, too.
I had no idea you were getting interested in him.
Uh-oh. Better make Dad think I'm not too interested in David, though.
Now, don't try to make it sound so bad, Dad. I'm not in love with him. I'm not going to marry him. He's only offered to take me to the school dance next weekend.
Oh, he's so nice. It would be wonderful to be married to a man like that. He's so much more sophisticated than the brothers at the Kingdom Hall. He really knows his way around.
Nancy's mind hasn't said much, but...
Sophisticated, yes, but spiritual, no. You know he's an ignoramus when it comes to knowing about Jehovah and the Bible.
Yes, but he could learn.
Dear, do you remember what the Watchtower said about dating worldly boys? They may seem nice to be with, but they're often governed only by worldly standards, and in the long run want much more than the true Christian can give. You remember what happened to Diana? She thought she could disobey her parents as well as the council and Jehovah's Word. And look at her now.
Yes, speaking of the Bible, it may very well be that what you say about this boy is true. He may be a fine young man by worldly standards. Yet, what does Jehovah say? Get your Bible, Nancy, and we can look this up together. Please read Deuteronomy chapter 7, verses 3 and 4.
I know what it says. I don't have to read it.
And you must form no marriage alliance with them. Your daughter you must not give to his son, and his daughter you must not take for your son, for he will turn your son from following me, and they will certainly serve other gods.
I knew he'd be hard to convince.
Notice that Jehovah didn't say, perhaps one will fall away, but he will turn your son from following me, and they will certainly serve other gods.
But, Dad, it's just a dance.
True, but why cultivate a friendship with a young man when you know you can't follow through? Why lead him on?
It would be very easy to get serious about him. In fact, I'd better use another approach with Dad. I'm not getting anywhere with this line. I know. I'll cry. I'll burst into tears. That'll melt his heart.
But, Dad, he's not bad association. He's a very good boy, and he's at the head of the entire class in school. He doesn't drink or smoke, and he likes me. He makes me feel like somebody. And lately all you and Mom have been doing is to make me feel like I'm no good.
If I cry for a while, maybe they'll take pity on me and leave me alone. At least that will give me time to think of something else.
Nancy, you know your father's 100% right, and so is Jehovah. Getting back to Diana, she's in a big mess today. Her worldly boyfriend got her pregnant and then left her carrying the child when he found out about her condition. He seemed like a nice boy, too. In fact, wasn't he a close friend of David?
I'm losing. They won't let me go unless I come up with something quick. I know. I'll tell them I'm interested in his spiritual welfare. That should work for sure.
Dad,
Yes, dear?
if I keep this date with him, then he'll respect me for keeping my word. He's so nice. He should be in the new order, and if I handle things just right, I believe I can get him to study with me. I don't have a study right now, and wouldn't it be wonderful if he would come right along into the truth?
That ought to convince Dad. And besides, maybe I really could start a study with him.
You can explain that your father has other plans for you that evening. If he asks you for another date, you can refuse him.
But, Dad, can I even arrange to study with him?
If he's interested in learning about Jehovah, we can arrange for him to study with one of the brothers, someone like Brother Mature. But if he's only interested in you, then the chances are he won't want to study with Brother Mature.
Oh.
Dear, we're not saying he's not a good boy as far as the world goes, or that you will get into trouble at the dance. The point is the possibility is there. And besides, going to the dance with him would be a step in the wrong direction. We know that's true, since Jehovah says so in the Bible.
Nancy, we're only making these restrictions for your everlasting benefit and as a protection for you. If we didn't love you, we'd just let you do whatever you wanted.
Have they reached her heart? Well, they are trying, and they're using the power of the Scriptures to back them up. But the heart does not give up easily when its affections are set on a person or object. It seems they are beginning to get the situation under control for now, but they will need to recognize what is going on in their daughter's heart. We can hope they will have good success as they strive to help their daughter and as she responds to their loving but firm counsel. Parents, stay close to your children during these formative years. Regularly draw them out in a loving way as to their problems, and discuss them in an understanding manner. Be alert to any danger signs, reasoning with them so as to lead both heart and mind to the same right conclusion. Make sure you reach the hearts of your children when giving counsel and encouragement. Do not merely aim for the head to impart knowledge, but for the heart, where you can build loving obedience, not being overly protective, but by no means permissive. Now here's another situation. It involves a teenage brother and a teenage sister in the congregation. With their parents, they've gone over to a small gathering at Brother Johnson's home. Frank has persuaded his parents to allow him to take the family car and drive Judy home. There's only a few blocks, and Judy's parents feel that this would be all right this time.
That was a nice gathering over at Brother Johnson's house.
Yes, that was nice. I'm glad Dad and Mom let me go, too.
Yeah, and I'm glad they let me drive you back home tonight. Say, you know that last dance? You danced very nice. I guess maybe some of the folks may have thought we were dancing too close. I hope not.
His mouth says this, but what does his heart say?
That was very nice. A thrill went all through me when she was up so close.
I enjoyed dancing with you, too, Frank. I'm like you. I don't want to do anything really out of line.
So she says, but what does her heart say?
My, that was a thrill. Oh, I figured I'd better protest a little and pull back to a safe distance. But it's such a nice feeling to have one you like hold you up so tight. I don't want to be too eager, But if we can let things work around to have that thrill again, then I sure want to do it. Of course, I won't let myself go too far.
Meanwhile, let's see what's taking place in Frank's heart.
Come on, Mind. We'll soon be to her house. We've got to think up something to stall for time.
But wait a minute. I remember her parents, as well as yours, said to come right home after the gathering.
That's right. But we are going home. It won't hurt to stop a minute somewhere. What can we do? Mind, come up with something good, quick.
You're pressing me to recommend something illogical. But, well, let's see. I remember there's a side street that dips down by the lake. You could pull into it.
Yeah, that's just the spot. Now, if I can convince her without appearing to be bold.
Judy, we're almost back to your house, but there are a few things I just wanted to talk to you about. Can we drive down by the lake on the way back?
Oh, Frank, I don't know. Dad and Mom said go straight home.
But we'll just be a few minutes. Say, here's a quiet place. I'll just pull over under this tree.
Oh, but Frank, I don't think we should.
Now there is quite a conflict going on. Judy doesn't want to protest too much, thinking she might turn Frank away. And, too, it would be nice to spend a little more time with him. This is the natural reasoning of the heart. Yet in her mind she knows what she's been told by her parents, and what she has read in God's Word and the Society's publications about proper decorum with one of the opposite sex. Her conscience begins to prick her. But will she let the selfish desires of her heart win out over her love for Jehovah and her desire to abide by his righteous requirements? And what about Frank? Is he going to catch himself before he goes too far? The heart can lead you astray almost before you know it. Remember, a powerful force is generated when desire becomes strong in the heart, and the flesh begins to prepare itself to fulfill wrong desire. Now, what is going to be the outcome here with Frank and Judy?
Frank, I do think we ought to go home now.
Whew. My heartbeat has really picked up. It would be nice to stay here with Frank, but Mom and Dad, if they knew. And suppose someone sees us parked here together. But Frank hasn't done anything so bad. He just wants to talk to me. Uh-oh. He's put his arm back on me on the seat. But maybe he's just resting it there. Oh, my, what am I going to do? Mind, you've got to come up with some answers.
My first recommendation would be to tell him to take you home right away.
Yes, I know, and I'm not going to let him keep me here long. But I don't want to be displeasing to him. He may drop me and not want to see me again.
Maybe, but maybe not.
Yes, but how will we know? We haven't been in this situation before.
Well, you remember your mother has always told you that if a boy is decent, he won't be offended if you insist on doing the right thing and having him respect you.
Oh, just let me alone. Quit remembering things for a while. But I've got to be careful here.
You know, Judy, I've been looking for the opportunity to tell you how much I admire you.
Oh, Frank, you don't mean a word of it.
Sounds very nice, though.
I do, Judy. I used to sit a few rows back from you at the meetings so I could see how pretty you are. Now I have you right beside me. I never thought that would happen. It's so nice just to touch you. You're so soft and lovely.
We don't need to have this scene acted out for us fully to know what is bound to happen unless this chain of developments is soon broken. Already, we're sure you've recognized what should not have been allowed to happen leading up to this situation. First, these young folks should not have been allowed to go for a drive alone. There must be wise supervision by the parents. The heart is treacherous, yes, a betrayer. It easily schemes and devises seemingly innocent ways to fulfill its desires. In the case of Frank, he has prevailed upon his parents to let him just drive Judy the few blocks home. and her parents felt it would be all right this time. Too often, it is just such circumstances that lead to serious consequences. What about Frank and Judy? Here they are, pulling into the driveway of her house. Judy jumps out and runs. Mother's been waiting up for her.
Judy, where have you been? We've been so worried about you. What happened?
Well, do we have to talk about it now? I'm so tired, and oh, Mom.
What have they done? No, they didn't commit fornication, but they could have. And one thing led to another, and the first thing they knew, they were kissing again and again, and the hands were not kept in the right place. They engaged in loose conduct. Wrong desire had built up to a fever pitch in the heart. And with these powerful forces motivating the body and crying out for satisfaction, what could stop them from going through with the scheming of the heart? The heart is indeed desperate. It is traitorous.
There have been just a few scenes to help us appreciate that the heart is deceitful. Yes, indeed, it can be treacherous. We must watch our motives constantly, check our desires regularly, and see what affections are lodging in the heart at all times. We have to stay close by Jehovah's word and to take advantage of all the provisions made to strengthen our hearts. We must not only take information into our minds, but make sure that it sinks deep down into the heart. We need to meditate on it appreciatively, with a desire to make it our own. While we cannot fully get to know the heart, we can certainly get to know its tendencies, and when we see a bad ones begin to formulate, we can take immediate action to correct whatever may be wrong in the way of motive, desire, or affection. On the other hand, we work diligently to cultivate proper motives. We get to know our Heavenly Father not only by taking knowledge into our minds, but also cultivating appreciation for Jehovah's fine qualities, his loving kindness in our behalf, and the provisions that he makes for us. We should love him so much that we hate what is bad and want to please him in all that we do. If we're carefully leading our hearts to this good condition, it shows that we're alert to safeguard the heart. For as it says in Proverbs 4:23, more than all else that is to be guarded, safeguard your heart, for out of it are the sources of life. If we do this, our heart will not betray us, but will loyally work in cooperation with the mind to help us to live in full harmony with the righteous principles of God's word. Yes, the heart, being a pump for the blood, is certainly a vital organ in the body. Without blood going to all the cells of the body, we would surely die. Understandably, doctors and scientists encourage us to take steps physically to protect our hearts, to get proper sleep and rest, to watch our diet and to exercise. However, much more important than all these physical precautions are the steps we take to protect our hearts from the spiritual point of view, knowing that in the fleshly heart we have our main capacity for motivation. It is from the heart that our affections and our most important desires develop and issue forth. So, brothers and sisters, what is in your heart? While we may have some difficulty in fully understanding our hearts, the fact remains we have to answer for what springs from our hearts. It can be the source of life or the source of death. We're told at Proverbs 21 and verse 2, every way of a man is upright in his own eyes, but Jehovah is making an estimate of hearts. Yes, Jehovah, the great judge, weighs out or estimates what is in our hearts, whether good or bad, and he rewards accordingly. May he bless us, whether we're young or whether we're old, as we pray as did David, create in me even a pure heart, O God, and put within me a new spirit that stands